What's up, everybody? Hopefully, we'll be able to. Hopefully, we'll be able to make this work. I guess I should say it's because of the Wi-Fi and everything. So we'll just bust it out on it. So, no audio works out too because this BOK Center is pretty terrible in my opinion. So, hopefully, we can make this work. So we'll make it pretty short and sweet, and hopefully, we'll be able to make it work. But either way, yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it, shall we?
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I am your host, John Nabors. I'm also the host of Out of Bounds. You can catch every weekday afternoon from 1 to 4 on 103.7 The Buzz and 103.7thebuzz.com. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Saturday. I'm sure you are. I'm sure you're just itching to be able to hop on here at a 6:30 at night and be able to talk about this riveting and so much fun game to watch and attend as Arkansas drops another game here at the BOK Center in Tulsa to Oklahoma by a final score of 79-70. And honestly, it wasn't even that close. I mean, it really wasn't. It wasn't even that close. Arkansas, from a little bit of places, may have had moments, had some times where they were in the game itself and maybe had some good things going for them, but the majority of the time they did not. And Eric Muselman will talk about his ejection for the second time in this series here at the BOK Center. But just overall thoughts on it. This was a bad performance all around, defensively, offensively. Not really a whole lot of positives. In fact, I think Eric Muselman in his press conference said the only positives is that you could really take some from steals. They're better on that. So that's about it. I mean, pretty much. This was just it was a frustrating game, and you got to give credit to Oklahoma. They're a good team. I think that they're a team that's going to go to the NCAA tournament. I don't know how far they'll make it. I don't know, how good they're going to do in the Big 12 or anything, but I definitely feel like this was Porter Mosier's best team that he had go up to Arkansas, and they were extremely dominant, especially in certain phases of the game. I think without question, points in the paint, Oklahoma getting 36 of their 79 points in the paint was extremely impressive. They out-rebounded Arkansas by 8, and they were pretty good with shot, 51%. from the field, 39% from 3-point land, and 79% from the free throw line. So just overall, it was a game that Arkansas, going into it, we all knew it was gonna be tough. We all knew Oklahoma was a good team, but to see the frustrations boil over and to see what ended up happening in this game was without a doubt disappointing if you're a Razorback fan. So yeah, that that's a problem. That's a major problem that you got to have. So and got to fix. And I think most understands it, and he's going to try to figure this out the best way that he can possibly too. So, but how do you do that? What do you do? That's the ultimate question. So you had Trevin Brazil play for a little bit, which was great, but just not a whole lot of action. We got 15 minutes roughly in this game. Didn't score any points. So yeah, it was just not a great showing for anybody. But at least you got some out of like Jeremy Davenport, who led the team in scoring. Actually, no, he didn't. Caleb Battle actually ended up leading the team in scoring. Caleb Battle went 2 of 10 from the field. So not he had 8 free throws. He went 8 of 8. So at least there was that. But Davenport had 12 points, and those are the only 2 guys that had double-digit scoring. You had Tremont Mark have his moments too. He played 33 minutes in this game. He led the team in the total minutes, which was great, but still, just nothing really went right for Arkansas at all. And Muss talked about in the press conference how you have to be better overall than what you're seeing, but you also have to, at some point in time, when you're coaching and you're going through the schemes and the same practices and the same everything, and nothing's working, and it's not resonating, then you have to mix it up. And it really went, again, I really feel like to Muss talking about his team and where their headspace is at, where their heart's at, and how they're going to try to, be better from this. But he's even running out of answers right now. And so he even made a comment in the press conference. He's like, he wish he had 100 weeks before the next game because they need all the time that they need to try to fix this problem. They got talent. I think they got scorers. They have individual guys that can do a lot of good things, but it's just not cohesively coming together as a team. And so that's what's got to be so frustrating for a Razorback fan is like, that the talent's there, that the ability's there. I mean, we've seen them beat a Purdue team in the exhibition. We saw them beat Duke at home. We've seen them have good performances. And I would even argue that what you saw against Furman earlier this week, I know that it was a real high scoring affair, but offensively, it looked like Arkansas was doing a really good job in that game. And then just the next game, it all goes out the window. So, how do you fix that? How do you address that? It seems like it's got definitely Muss a little perplexed where, he's a good coach. He's been around a long time and I trust him. So it's not like I'm jumping ship like I know some people are. And it's just funny how every single year I feel like I get the same tweets and the same responses of, oh man, this team ain't it. This team ain't it. Ain't man NCAA tournament. It's going to be a rough season, blah, blah, blah. And you know what? Maybe one day you'll be right. But I feel like that's happened every single year. And Muss's team have always responded. But to me, it's always been about time clicks. The time of when it clicks, Muss's is all different. Look at last year. There were times where the games were good for Arkansas, but bad for Arkansas. But the overall regular season was not a time in any point when it clicked. I think injuries had a lot to do with that. I think inexperience in freshmen had a lot to do with that. But when it did click, I think we all saw it very, very, very late against Kansas. It clicked. And you had not only the team ended up beating Kansas, but I think there was the response that you had from even like a Devo Davis after the game. Of course, he was very emotionally saying, figured it out. I don't think that was just we figured out that game. We figured out that scheme. We figured out it was a feeling to where he had seen it before because he's been around for so long. He figured it out that it's like, hey, we clicked. We got it. We're good. We're moving forward. Now we got it. Unfortunately for Arkansas, they ran UConn. And even the year before, we all remember that they started off pretty good, went up to Kansas City and ended up winning that invitation. Had some wins in the BOK Center, actually. There was a just horrible showing, and Muss got ejected from that game too. So they had a poor showing there. They lose to Hofstra. They start 0-3 in SEC play. Everything's just really bleh. But then once they get in the flow, and I would even say that, not saying that they won every game from outright, but I would say that game against LSU on the road when Muss wasn't even there because he was had his surgery on his shoulder, and to come behind against that pretty good LSU team where I think it was down 9 points and win, suddenly that just put things into perspective and it got it going. Year before that, Muss's first run at the NCAA tournament. The team at the beginning struggled a little bit in the SEC, and I don't remember exactly how long the win streak was, but once they got into the SEC play, they ended up winning 8 straight or 9 straight, something to that extent, and they figured it out and it clicked. And so that's what I mean is that it's all about when it clicks, when it happens. Because it's happened at different times, it's what makes this, as a Razorback fan, pretty frustrating, but also for us being frustrated. I believe it'll still happen, though. I'm not sitting here and saying that, like, oh, well, it's over, it's done with, this ain't it with the team, because I don't buy that. There's too much talent on this team to get it figured out, and I think they will get it figured out. It's just a matter of trying different things, trying new rotations, trying new, guys that, may want it a little bit more and guys on the bench and work with them on some things, because Muss just said, hey, we can't even worry about who our next opponent is as far as just like, oh, that's what we're focusing on, we're game planning. We got to focus on ourselves. We got to get this fixed. So he understands it. He gets it. But I just about when it clicks. I just hope for everyone's sake, for Razorback fans' sake, that doesn't just seem to click when it's like last part of the season. I mean, you'll still take it. You'll still be excited if you're able to go there with it. But nobody wants to be in a situation where you're miserable all regular season and just lose game frustratingly. I kind of like tonight. And then you have just real no answers and no consistency to it. So hopefully this thing begins to click a little bit earlier. And, it could be something it could be happening against Lipscomb. And it could be as soon as that. Or it could be midway through SEC play. Whenever it is, it has to happen. It has to click. It has to be better. Muss knows it. We know it. We all understand it. And I think that's we're just going to have to deal with. It sucks. I get it. I don't want to deal with it either. But maybe I'm looking at it from a glass half full, but I still think it'll work out. But it's not to say that Arkansas doesn't have things that need to be fixed. Like they do. They have major issues. They can't guard the three very well. They did tonight a little bit better, but still it's not great. They did do a great job stopping ball tonight. The power play was not good. They just, there's still some things that are pretty glaring issues that they have to fix, and I think they are fixable. But how do you get there? How do you look? How do you look? It's the ultimate key and the ultimate question. So I'm going to be looking forward to the rest of the season. Of course, everything can change, but it's a frustrating game. It's a frustrating game, and I hope to never. I'll talk about the BOK Center here in a bit because I am not happy with this place whatsoever, and I know you guys care so much about it. And we will talk about that and get into it. We got to take game time though for any of these events. I know if any of you came to the game today, which I know a lot of Razorback fans did, hopefully use the Game Time app on your phone because it's the best place to get your tickets. It's the easiest way to get your tickets. And the thing is, you should go and use all these different apps, these third-party places, and they have these hidden fees to where you're like, oh, man, that's a great deal. But then you click on it, and you see that they added in about 18,000% of fees, and you're paying double the price. You're not going to get that at all in Game Time. So go and download the app today and use promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. That's right, Locked On College for $20 off. It doesn't matter if it's sporting events, doesn't matter if it's concerts, comedy shows, whatever it is, you can check them out. You can make it work. It's the best place to do it. So again, download the Game Time app and use promo code Locked On College, $20 off of your first order.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, so moving on into the next segment of the Locked On Razorbacks podcast, post-game reaction, however I call it. I want to talk about Eric Muselman's ejection because I think some of you were bringing that up. We'll get to your comment in just a little bit as long as the internet doesn't completely crap out on me. So if it's been choppy at times, I apologize. But it's just another thing that sucks about this place. So the ejection that happened for Muss, which it is what it is. We see it happen in basketball games. We've seen it happen with Muss. In fact, I think that he's at least this is his fifth year, right? So in his fifth year, I would say he's been ejected 5 times, 4 times, 5 times, something like that. 3 times. 3 times. I got the media people that actually do their research over here helping me out. So 3 times he's been ejected. Twice, of course, happening in this series here at Oklahoma. But he definitely had his own share of technicals. We can say that. But when we're pretty far up here in the media section because that's how much they respect us. And when I looked down there from where the bench was and what was going on, the only thing I really saw is there was some chippiness going on in the game. There's no question about that. Like it's an emotional game, and both teams are trying to win the game for different reasons, and it's very physical. And I think that at the very beginning of the game, at least the referees let them play a little bit. But from what my vantage point showed me, is that you had some woofing going on, and there was a particular player for Oklahoma who got woofed over at the bench after a timeout. And I think Muss took exception to that. But on top of that, it had kind of been building up to that point. There had been some comments made, some talking made, some bad calls made in Muss's mind. I think he was getting frustrated with some of the officiating. He even made sure to know that he did not comment about the officiating in his press conference. But I think it was just overall it started building up and then it exploded. And Muss lost his mind and did not like what the player had to say, did not like that the officials did nothing about it. And so there it happened. But first total tackles called tonight. So it wasn't just like, oh, it was Muss losing his mind and that was it. It's an Arkansas problem. Like you had technicals on Oklahoma too. In fact, later in the game, there was a player for Oklahoma that woofed again towards the bench after a timeout and guess he got teed up. So it felt like that was really where it came down to. The amount of people that freak out about this stuff, listen, I'm not saying that it's just like, oh, get it injected every day. That's the greatest type of basketball I want to see. I'm not saying that, but to act like that it's just like the end of the world and like oh man, I'm tired of the antics of Eric Muselman. I was like, man, there's a method to the madness of all coaches. Like, I mean, the guy's proven it time and time again, and I think everything's for a reason, and I think he's trying to motivate his team and whatnot. But you know, Eric Muselman getting ejected is not what lost the game. It was frustrating, and I added to frustration. And people see him, and I saw the odd comments on Twitter from national people, which kind of they had some fun with it. It's like if you know Muss, it's like you see it all the time. You see that, and I'm also not saying that it's like it's the Oklahoma players' fault. I'm not saying that either. But I'm just trying to give you some context into what was going on, what happened, and why he did it. But it was just a chippy game. A lot of emotions out there, and a lot of players just going at it. So, but I obviously wasn't good enough for Arkansas because I think they kept battling. The closest it felt like they would ever get it to would be like a 12-point lead, because Arkansas was down by pretty much 20 at the point, and they would battle back and they would get within 12. But every single time that they would do that, it seemed like Oklahoma always had an answer. They would all jump right back and they hit a big three, or they get a big offensive rebound and put it back. Someone was open going into the lane. You'd have them getting fouled and some free throws had to get hit. There was just a lot of stuff like that ended up being a big difference in this game too. So it was just again, the ejection was not. There's not anything to write. In fact, we were even talking about in the media in the press conference after the game. We're expecting Muss is like, oh man, we're going to get about a 2-minute press conference because he's going to answer his questions with about 2 words. But he was actually about as good as you could see a guy after getting ejected. Now, I'm not saying he was like sitting there just sunshine and rainbows, but comparatively speaking to knowing when he's been ejected from games before and his attitude and everything there, yeah, I feel like that was pretty good. And he played it all out there. He was just it's not sugarcoating it. He didn't take anything away from Oklahoma. He talked about some of the quality players and team they are, the fight that they had. So nothing like that. But it was simply laying out. I was like, hey, we as a team have to get. We can't continue to roll out this stuff and then expect to just be better from it. So they're going to get back to the drawing board. So Arkansas week. before they play Lipscomb and North Little Rock, which we all know Arkansas always plays great in Central Arkansas. So hopefully that one goes well. So they have that game, and then I believe they have another game a week later, and then you get into SEC play. So it's getting down to the nitty gritty, and your first SEC game is going to be against Auburn at home. And I'm sure that no one will overreact to that game if anything happens. But that's an important piece. But again, for those of you who are upset at Muss or upset at the situation, and saying how terrible it looks or whatever, I mean that's fine. You can think that, but I ain't freaking out about it. I ain't worried about it. It's happened. I jokingly put out the tweet that last time when Muss got ejected from this game a few years ago, Arkansas went to the Elite Eight that season. So obviously there's a connection there. I mean, you got to get ejected from the BOK Center to go to the Elite Eight, because last year Muss did not get ejected from the BOK Center and they only made it to the Sweet 16. So to me, that's the only thing that makes sense. You got to get ejected from the BOK Center if you want to make it to the Elite Eight. Some levity to provide it. But it was just something that's, again, it's just disappointing overall. Some other stats real quick. Talk about this game series in general. Again, Battle had 13 points, went 2 of 10 from the field, just pretty abysmal. I think is the best way to put it. Trevor Brazil didn't score. He only played 15 minutes, but he had 2 steals, a rebound, and assist. And we were trying to talk about the fact that he hadn't scored in 2 of his last 4 games, but yet he was like SEC Player of the Week, and he's battling to get back. We all know that he's battling to get back, but yeah, didn't have a great game out of him. Let's see. And Mekhi Mitchell gets 6 rebounds. He had 9 points. 3 block shots. He actually played pretty well. 2 steals, too. And no turnovers. Whew. You had him. Let's see. Jalen Graham. How about Jalen Graham? Guy known for his offense, but it was really all about defense tonight. So that was pretty good. Andrew, can you hand me that water over there if you don't mind? I'm in a water fountain, don't worry. I'm starting to choke on here in the thing. Oh, I haven't been opening it good. It's going to be mine now. So anyways, but yeah, the stats weren't that great there for anybody. But Jalen Graham did play a little bit of good defense when he came in. Went 4 or 5 from the field, though. 8 points, 5 rebounds. Also had 2 assists and 2 block shots. Devo Davis had his moments, but still didn't overall play well. Did have 4 rebounds. Only 4 points, though. It's not enough. You're just not enough to get it done. You're just not doing it the one that to get it done. And it's Andrew Ellis, not the other Andrew. So I'll get it right. But anyways, yeah. So it was just Oklahoma played really good, and Arkansas bounced back from it. But I tell you what, yeah. I mean, listen, we're gonna talk about something about this series in a little bit too, and about this play. I have some thoughts on it, just to be honest about it. But I'm going to tell you about Prize Picks. Take another swig of water. It's the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. They're the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. And it's just you against the numbers. And so instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you get to pick more or less from a 2 to 6 player projection. You can watch the winnings roll in. And it's very simple to do, because even with the basketball season being here, you can now pick a combo projection across football and basketball with the Specials League, which is a league created to have combo projections such as 2 more players. Like, for instance, you could have LeBron James plus Travis Kelce at a 10.5 combo of 3-pointers made and receptions, like that. But it's also really easy to use. You can make your picks very simply, and you can do it all in less than 60 seconds. And you can also have quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and everything. So check it out today. Prize Picks is the place to be when it comes to have some fun with the daily fantasy sports. And if you go to prizepicks.com, you can use promo code LOCKEDONCollege for first deposit match up to $100. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCollege by going to prizepicks.com/LOCKEDONCollege for a first deposit match up to $100. It's daily fantasy sports made easy with Prize Picks.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks, Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
My final here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. If I don't choke on my own vomit here. Let's see. We're gonna get some comments, but let me just say, I'm gonna go on a rant real quick before we do that. This is my first time coming to the BOK Center, and forget the game. Like, the game sucked within everything. Like, that was the most terrible game. But the BOK Center, and my first experience here, this was pretty terrible. I mean, nothing's been really very redeeming. I don't know why cares about the media or anything, but it's like they didn't really have parking for anybody. It's kind of difficult to get into. Sat up here at the very top. The internet's been pretty crappy, as I'm sure a lot of you have noticed. We had also like really no accommodations. Like, it was really tough to get to the media room. The media room was tiny. Let's see. I don't really do anything fun. Like, they did a free throw competition, I think. Arkansas did win that. Their representation won that, so that's good. So, yeah, they won in rock, paper, scissors, and a tie. Oh, God, I hate marketing. And people in basketball. It's like, surely you can do better than that. But that was pretty terrible. So you had that happen. And anyways, it was just awful. It was just awful. Like, everything about this experience at the BOK Center. Hopefully, I'm glad it's over. It's pretty terrible. They don't put effort into it. They had like elevators that weren't working. And when I asked somebody, I was like, are they broken? And they're like, no, we just don't turn them on for this event. I was like, oh, okay. Guess you don't want to make it easy to get through and to go to different places. I mean, why would anybody want to go to the elevators and use them to be more efficient when it comes to traffic and everything? So, anyways, place sucks. I've seen concerts here. It's been fine. When it comes to this battle event, never again. Over it. I'm done with it. All right, some of your comments. Let's see if I can get to some of these too. So go ahead and hit them up in the chat. I think I've drank enough water to where I'm not going to choke again. Give it. I might do it. Take our price fix thing off here. All right, let's see. I'm sure you guys are being really cool, right? Let's see. Woo Pig says, as good as Muss is, he better hire him an offensive assistant in offseason, because every year that he's been here, our offense has been an absolute bleep show. Okay. I mean, it's not been great, but I wouldn't say it's been trash. I will say that defense is always a little bit more important in my mind. And maybe it's a cop-out answer. I'm not saying that the offense doesn't need to improve, but come on. 3 straight Sweet 16s, 2 Elite 8s. They'll be all right. They'll get it figured out. Let's see. This goes from Prodigy Gamers. It says, I kind of wanted Brazil not to play today. A re-aggravated sprain is 10 times worse. I didn't play too much. Must even gave him a lot of credit in the press conference. Said he was very team-oriented, and he sacrificed to come out there and to play and to be a part of it. So I was like, that's a good thing for Muss to say. If Muss says it, then that's great. I'll give him a lot of credit for that. Steven says it's going to take Muss half a season to figure out the chemistry of this team like it always does. Yeah, that's kind of how I am. I mean, I'm not saying that you can just be happy with the performance and just, like, never just throw your hands up and be like, they'll know it. They'll figure it out. It'll be fine. I'm totally fine getting blown out. I'm totally fine getting your rear end kicked. I'm totally fine being 6-4. Don't ever say that. But also don't say, like, what I've seen some people say is like, this team sucks. They're not any good. And, they're not going to make it to the tournament. We'll be lucky to win 4 games. Like, all right. Good luck with that. See how that works. In fact, perfect. It says the team just isn't very good. I would be surprised if they make the tournament. Man, something like I've heard sometime. The past 3 years, I've heard that before. Come on now. Let's see. Got Colt says the refs were betting on prize picks. Yeah, the technicals. I think they went for the more than just 4 technicals because there were 6 of them called. Yeah, I feel that. Nima says, John, are you getting litty tonight in downtown Tulsa? I'd rather die. That sounds awful. So no. Jimmy says, BMD, you're right. After 1-2 years, all the basketball players are gone. Arkansas should be able to fix that. Yeah, I mean it's just the transfer portal that happens. I assume that's what you're talking about. It's just like the short whip players that are at Arkansas. It's never been too big of a problem. Jeff says the center isn't really a sports venue, mainly concerts and such. I get I get that. That's fine. But if you're going to host a basketball event like this, then you need to be able to put forth the effort into it, and don't host it. If you can't handle doing a basic basketball thing, then just do it. Like just don't do it. That's my thing. Hog Wild says Tesla's coming back. Yeah. In fact, that is some good news, right? It's not bad news. Getting Isaac Tesla back, like Arkansas wide receiver. I like Isaac Tesla. I actually think that it's just one of those deals. Like if all the offense is bad, and here's the thing too. It goes back to what I've talked about so many times. If Bobby Petrino wants it, and I'm fine with it. So if he wants Isaac Tesla back, so be it. Gotta go with it. So Jimmy says, does Petrino know anything about basketball? Okay, just a thought. Oh, let's not get crazy here. Come on now. Don't be all that. Let's see. Nima says, must the importer needs to become must the developer. All these porter players year after year and no hardware. Are you serious? Come on now. Like what hardware? What, a national championship? Like what are you asking? Or what are you saying? My man has made 3 straight Sweet 16s and 2 Elite 8s, and you're coming on here saying that he needs to start developing players instead of poor players because we have hardware. Who has hardware? Come on. Oh, okay, so this is what Neiman says. It means that from an SEC championship would be nice. I do not give a rip about an SEC championship. Like, could you name the last 5 SEC champions in basketball? Like, does anybody care? No. What matters is that you win in the NCAA tournament. I would rather all day long go to the NCAA tournament and go to the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8 than win an SEC regular season and an SEC tournament and get bounced in the first round. That's me. Like I don't care about winning the SEC regular season. That's what Bama and Auburn basketball fans. That's all they do. Prodigy says thought our assist stat season feel like it's too low. Did good against Duke, but yeah, I mean they're just, when you have a tough outing like this, nothing looks good. Nothing looks good at all. Breakaway says, does it feel like the same kind of hype that we had with the football team and now we just let down? I know 2 different birds. This year has been hard as hard. No, I don't think that. Again, it's not good right now and it's struggling, but it's like we've seen this before. If this was the first year under Muss and we had no idea of like what was in store, then I think it would be a different animal. Like we could have a different discussion. But since we've seen this struggle, seen this program after struggles and everything, and we have music blaring behind me. Like it's happened before. It's just a matter of them figuring it out at the right time. Like I'm not worried. Now, if this is the way that they're playing late in the SEC season or in the middle of the SEC season, okay, so let's start having a conversation. But we've seen it happen before, and it's been okay. It's been okay. Let's see. Jeff says, winning the SEC only matters in football. Well, it did, but next year that may change as well. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. Would you rather win the SEC in football, or would you rather go to the national semifinals and the college football playoff? I don't know. That's like I've always felt like I got in an argument with somebody. They told me that they would rather go to the SEC title game and lose, and then play in like the Citrus Bowl, than go to the Sugar Bowl and win. And I'm like, that's dumb. I would not rather do that. I would not rather do that. I like having the big seasons with the big postseason showing in the games that matter more. I mean, yeah, it'd be nice to be in the SEC championship game, but if you know you're going to lose, then what's the point? I'd rather go to the Sugar Bowl. Nola's great. Jeremy says shooting 40% inside and 22% outside the arc will lose you a lot of games. I feel like our players need to cut to the basket unless I just sort it out. No. Yeah, they got to do more of that. And I think even Muss mentioned going to the basket and then falling down. He's like that. He's like, we've done that all year long, and then when you fall down and you miss the shot, you lose it in transition. He's like, we got to stop doing that. Yeah, that's a problem. That is a problem. NG says, why do I feel like I'm on a Zoom call with him? Because this is as good as I can get going for this place that has Wi-Fi with a potato in again. Like, it might as well be Wi-Fi. The modem, I think, is an actual potato. So give me a break. I'm doing my best over here. Cole said, fans and team felt out of the game. The most exciting part was in Muss ran onto the court. Pretty much, yeah. He's very reminiscent of 2 years ago. Very reminiscent of 2 years ago. Austin's nothing to be scared of. Muss has proven track record, and this is the script. It's always been trust in Muss. That's all I am. I mean, until he gives me a reason not to trust him. Here's the thing, and I'll bring it up, and I'm going to say it until I'm blue in the face. Any of you look at this season and you're upset right now, that's fine. I get it. But if Arkansas went to a Final Four in this year in postseason, let's just say that for funsies, they go to a Final Four. They're playing in Phoenix, and even if they lose in the Final Four, are any of you going to say, you know what, that was great going to the Final Four in Phoenix, but dadgummit, that Oklahoma game and Tulsa in the BOK Center, that just ruined the season for me. That was unacceptable. No, you're not going to remember, and you're not going to care. It's the same thing that happened last year. Because Arkansas beat Kansas and went to the Sweet 16. No one remembers the fact that they lost to that trash LSU team to start the season. No one remembers it. No one cares. Because you beat Kansas, you beat the number 1 seed, you went to the Sweet 16 in Vegas. That's what people remember, and that's what people care about. So just keep that energy. Keep that energy. Now here's the thing: if in the season Arkansas doesn't make postseason, okay, let's talk. If they go to the postseason and they only lose in the round, okay, let's talk. But until there is a reason to think that the season is lost and this team is trash and they ain't get it done, then I'm not going to really buy into that narrative just yet. But I know some of you, and you're saying those tweets, like if Arkansas starts straight, we're going to be bringing them back. I told you back in December. Told you in December. Like, yeah, okay. But let's see how it plays out. Us is a proven winner. Let's see how it plays. All right, let's see. Any other questions here? Any other nonsensical things? Yeah. Like, and if somebody starts telling me what to do in Tulsa, you're getting bought. I'm not hanging out in Tulsa. Not that far. The wind here is awful too. Like, that's another thing. Like, it's been cold. Josh says, you already talked about the double technical foul about. Yeah, we talked about that. It was just Muss getting after because he didn't like what one of the Oklahoma players was saying to the bench. Or I think it was more of like he was mad at him, but also mad at the officials for not doing anything about it. That's just my guess. But Muss didn't comment on it. Rightfully so. All right. So we're about wrapping up here. Sure, it's been a great one. Had a coughing fit in the middle of it, and the internet terrible. So, hey, but that's what we do, right? High quality stuff here. Either way, everybody appreciate you watching in, listening in. I know it's frustrating. Be all right. Just wait it out, see how it goes. Just be a little bit patient with them and see. I mean, they got talent. We all know that they do, and it's just a matter of finding the time when it clicks the most. So, enjoy the rest of your Saturday night. Don't let it ruin it. Christmas is coming up, right? Be excited about that. At Christmas, portal season. You know, big visiting weekend for Razorback football. You know, and Razorback volleyball. Do we ever update on Razorback volleyball? You might know. No, you might care. Fourth set. What do you think? Fourth set of what? I don't know volleyball. What is it?
Of the match, bro.
Yeah, but there's 5, right? Best of 5. So it's the 2. Okay. All right. I don't know. We're literally interrupting Big J journalism over here because they're writing stories. So, but apparently Arkansas was down 2 sets to 1, I guess. But yeah, they're listen. They're going up against the number 1 team in the country, I believe. Oh, so Hogs come with it right now. The latest is that the Huskers had to call a timeout in volleyball, and they have a 14-13 lead. Huskers do. So maybe they'll pull it out. But if that happens, that'll be a crazy upset. So keep it on though. So either way. All right, everybody. Have a good night. We'll see you. Drive safe. Travel safe. Drink safe. All that good stuff.